Robert reached out to me in the summer of 2022 about kind of joining his tutoring team. So I joined Northside Tutoring in September 2022, a couple months later. When I talked to Robert for the first time, he was super nice, super approachable, and super friendly. And I think that's one of the big reasons that I decided to join Northside Tutoring and join his team, because I felt that he would be a great person to work with. Some things that I found that can be really helpful is I have a really close connection with my students and their parents. And usually when I'm building a kind of tutoring relationship with the families, I always talk to the parent first, make sure that they're okay with the online tutoring aspect and kind of take them through kind of my process with online tutoring. So I involve like as much hands-on stuff that I can get. I've even started some of my tutoring relationships in person when I've been home for the summer, and then shifted it to online when the student is a little bit more comfortable with knowing me and getting to know me kind of like face-to-face first before we shift it online. So I always encourage kind of like as hands-on of an atmosphere I get. So I always think that the student will get more out of it if, like, the cameras are on, they can see me face to face. I've shared my screen and done like a whiteboard session where we can collaborate on Zoom whiteboards. That's been a really great thing that has like helped a lot of my students. I have actually been working with one student ongoing for, I want to say the past 1.5 years now. So shortly after I started working with Robert. And so I started working with her in physics. And I think from the get-go, like she was struggling a lot with, specifically in her physics class, more so than her geometry class. I think my student had a difficult teacher who expected a lot out of students, and if it wasn't like perfect, the grades suffered as a result. So we worked together for 6 months, and at the end of it, her grade did improve and she did kind of move up a letter grade in physics. So I was really proud of her for that. It was definitely a combined effort from both of us. She was a really dedicated student, really wanted to get her grade up, and I was just there to kind of like support and help her on the way. I personally think that students learn better when they are not being like told what to do, but I'm explaining stuff to them, but I also want them to do problems, and I want them to get stuck, and then I want them to be like kind of talk through where they're stuck with me, and then I'm trying to provide I'm providing help, but I'm trying to provide as little helps as I can so that they can get to where they're going on their own, and they can also get unstuck themselves, right? Because when it comes time for them to take tests or assessments in school, they're not going to have me by their side taking the test with them. So I want them to be able to problem solve on their own, think through where they're struggling. And in our sessions, of course, I'll be there to explain and see like, hey, this is how you should do it. But I really want to make sure they understand how to do it every single time they're doing it. So when they go solve a math problem, like they can replicate that 20 more times in any test that they're given. So that's kind of my goal when I'm tutoring.
Once beforehand, when I was tutoring with Robert, it really helped me, especially with math. I think a lot of the skills he taught me in math and algebra helped me excel a lot in algebra, geometry, during those high school years for sure at Holy Spirit Prep. That on-hand kind of work, it really helped. It was definitely a much faster process since we had all the physical materials there with us. Very efficient. Yeah, he was always on top of it, had like everything that we needed, all the tools that we needed with him in person. And a lot of my work too was physical, so that worked out in the end. He definitely made math, he was very good at explaining individual process for each individual math problem, and really helped me grasp kind of the different ideas in mathematics. Really helped with that for sure. Other tutoring places felt more pressured, and it felt more stressful. Robert was more laid back, but he still, you still wanted to do work. It was just, I felt more comfortable around Robert. He was also, yes, he cared more, he motivated me more with doing work.
I've been tutoring for Northside for about a year now. I'm primarily a chemistry tutor. I've tutored with multiple students who have all shown exponential growth in their chemistry grades. I like to personalize my tutoring by seeing the weaknesses in my students' strategies to approaching problems, and then also by incorporating the things that they struggled with at the beginning of the semester into the stuff that we're doing all throughout, since chemistry is a science that builds on itself. So for example, I had a student who really struggled with stoichiometry and differential analysis. So anytime that we came across a problem that involved math, I would try to throw in like unit conversions or maybe like grams to moles conversions, just so like we kept that up, because that's like one of the most important foundational concepts in chemistry. Some of my students pick up things a lot easier or have a different way of thinking or approaching problems than others. So I found that I can't just keep a rigorous, like, this is how we're going to do it kind of plan. I have to personalize it. I like to kind of make our relationship as if we're two friends sitting down and studying for a test together too, because then my students end up being more comfortable telling me what they're struggling with, or if maybe our approach to something isn't working for them, they feel more comfortable coming to me about that, and then I can do things differently. I can like tailor things more towards them, and I think that's where I've really seen the biggest growth in my students when we have a personalized plan like that. I feel like we all experience it. If we do well at something, then we are more inclined to want to sit down and do it more often. So if she was struggling a lot with like the math at the beginning of it, and getting the answers wrong just kind of is very daunting, and like it can definitely like break your confidence. So I think personalizing it so that I saw results for her really helped build her confidence and like make her want to come and be prepared for it.